on the Country Club were quite, they were quite comprehensive. They had quite a nice building in the centre of town because they had a lot of members in those days. But yeah, I did a lot of practice on the snooker table, and I was always very, very bad at it. The training centre at Evesham, where we used to go for months at a time, that they all had a snooker table as well, so we used to play lunchtime, and I was never any good. There were people much, much better than me, and I always lost. But on a pool table, that's a different story. But I wonder whether you ever played bar billiards, Dave. That is the most frustrating game ever. M0SPZ G0GSR.
Yeah, G0GSR, M0SPZ returning. Is that the one where it's got like little mushrooms in front of the holes, Roger?
It is. It's got these little mushrooms that are delicately balanced, so I just couldn't do with it. Just couldn't do it, Dave.
Yeah, Roger, yes. I have played it, but I can't remember how you actually play it. I think the idea is the idea to knock the mushrooms so that they actually tumble into the holes, or is the point of it to avoid the mushrooms and go round them to get the balls in the holes, Roger?
I think, it's a long time ago, Dave, but I think you have to avoid them, and if you knock one over, it is something bad, Dave, over.
Yeah, that's sort of what I thought. But I thought there was some other penalty if the mushroom itself, if the stalk of the mushroom actually fell into the hole. But I can't remember. I have played it, but haven't, I tell you what, that is a long, long time ago. Now, so I tell you what, it must have been when I first started going out drinking. So that must have been when I was, 17, 18. So a few years ago now, Frank, Roger.
Oh, absolutely. It is a long time ago, Dave. I don't think I've seen a bar billiards table in a pub for all. Don't remember. But when I came down here, the pub game of choice was Skittles. And I'd never played Skittles before, and quite a few pubs have a dedicated Skittle alley in them down here, and I found that incredibly difficult as well. I was actually pretty good at 10-pin bowling, but Skittles is something quite different. You've got these pins, and there's a huge amount of space between them, and it's quite easy to get the ball, between all of them. None of them, Dave, over.
Yeah, Roger, what actually with Skittles was very popular. But you have to put all the pins back up again, whereas with 10-pin bowling, it was all done with a machine, and I wasn't particularly good at either, actually. I had played bowling, of course, when I was in America, but I was never particularly good at it. Just like snooker, really. I mean, it was all I could do when I was playing snooker. It was all I could do to make the cue ball hit the object ball, yet alone work out where the cue ball was going after you'd pocketed a ball. And these guys, when they walk round the table, I think they're thinking like 3 or 4 shots ahead, aren't they? Bit like chess. When I used to play chess, I could only think a couple of moves ahead. And I was never any good at chess either, Frank. Oh dear. G0GSR M0SPZ.
G0GSR. Is that Peter?
Good God, hang on a minute.
Oh, very intermittent, Peter.
I need more than 0.1 watts to drive the amplifier.
You can never have too much power.
That's what they say. I was playing around with I was using the KX3 yesterday to provide myself an audio signal, and it turned right down, so and then I was listening to it on the Kenwood at 0.1 watts, so I transmitted with 0.1 times whatever the gain was, so the needles didn't move. I was amazed. You heard me. Anyway, it's drier this morning here. I'll pass it back to you, Frank.
Yeah, okay, Peter, very good morning to you anyway. Yeah, we heard you at first. I don't know how much power it would be. Probably less than a watt or something, or a watt. Just shows you, doesn't it, what you really need to get something through. But yeah, going back to 10-pin bowling and the like, everybody played that at one time. It was on the TV a lot, wasn't it, when it was in its heyday? And it was a usual trick to turn an old cinema into a bowling alley at one time, and of course they've all closed now. But we used to go 10-pin bowling quite often, and I got to be reasonably good at it, I suppose. I can't remember even how to score at it now. I know that if you get a strike, you get quite a lot of points because you add the next score from the next 2 balls onto that frame or something, but I'd have to refresh myself on how you actually score. But the skittle in the West Country day, I just couldn't get through to these skittles.
All that did was just record the fact that there's nobody there. So I don't quite know that, because you must be able to do it. I'm sure I've done it in the past, but anyway, I'll have to have a play around of that at some other time. Gary, back to you.
Yes. But it would be a good idea if it worked and you could do that. Then you'd be able to listen to your own transmission on a separate radio without all the feedback and all the rubbish, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'm sure I've done that before now. I don't quite know why it didn't do it then, but I'm sure I've recorded it before. But at any rate, we'll have another look. But I better get myself sorted because I've got to go to the hairdressers and saying I'm still in my bloody dressing gown. I haven't had a shower or nothing. So anyway, cheers to you and Debbie and anyone else just listening, and we'll catch you tomorrow.
Yeah, send me a picture of that microphone or the shack or whatever or both, and I'll forward it on to Aid. All right.
Well, it's a bit okay. I could do that, but it might be best if you just look on the internet, SE Electronics, and it's called a Gemini 2. It's a Gemini 2. So SE Electronics Gemini 2. It's probably better to just look on the internet, Gary.
Oh yes, okay, no worries. I'll sort that out. Okay, 7-3. See you in the morning.
Yeah, cheers.
Particularly like snooker, and we watched the latest one, and we watched last night's final right through to the end. Very, very good indeed. We enjoyed that too. So the main thing is that Nina enjoys it. So she says, shall we put the snooker on, so that's good. Right, okay, back to you then, Roger, because I need to get off as well today. We're wanting to get off in good time as well now, so we'll pass it back to you quickly, and let's hope you improve a little bit more today. G3NK, G3RKQ.
Yeah, okay, fine, Alan. G3RKQ from G3NKH. I'll make it the final because conditions seem to be dropping away slightly now. Yes, it was good, the snooker. We really enjoyed it, and the new young man did very well, didn't he, actually? He was quite overcome at the end and saddened to have lost, but it was a good competition. And we've actually, we've still got the old 6-foot snooker table that we had when the kids were at home, and we did some decorating a month or two ago, and it involved sorting things out in the bedroom, and we had occasion to actually temporarily sort of move things around, and we came across the old snooker table, which was sort of lurking behind one of the wardrobes in one of our bedrooms, and we were sort of in an only slightly jokingly way, we were sort of commenting on setting up the old snooker table again. I was saying to Judy last night, my goodness me, we ought to get our snooker table going again, Judy, and we could have a little tournament in the hall like we used to have years ago. We used to set up the snooker table in the hall, and we had some great fun actually with the kids. But of course, being a hall, halls aren't really designed for snooker tables, and although we've got a big hall, as you may remember, there was certainly at least one shot where you've got to be very careful to actually put your cue in between the battery shots. No, so we couldn't help reflecting watching last night, but that's a problem that the snooker professionals don't seem to have in the way that we certainly navigated so brilliantly. We played snooker here that snooker can power us. So, as I say, we'll get our snooker table out, I think, one of these days when the grandchildren are over. It might be the rebirth of a snooker here in Lymm, and that'll be great fun again. Yes, in terms of the news, I rather agree that it does go on the news at times, doesn't it, actually? I think we all of us secretly wish there had been an occasion when there's not much news, when the news would come on and they would actually apologise that there was no news today, So we're going to have the potter's wheel or something like that. Because certainly news is very variable, isn't it, actually? And there are times you feel it's being rather padded out. And the one thing that always irritates me, Alan, is towards the end of the news bulletin, they will say something like, and now here's a reminder of our main story. As though one needs a reminder. You've only just been told the main story about 10 minutes earlier. So it's sort of, it's as though the population is suffering from amnesia in some way, that they need a reminder after 10 minutes or 15 minutes or so. But they will keep saying this. Okay, give us the headlines again if you've just switched on, but it doesn't actually need to be reminded because, well, certainly we find we can remember things over 10 minutes or so with great skill. Not perfectly, but with some skill anyway. So, on that note, I'm going to say cheerio to you, Alan, for the moment, and think about having some breakfast, I think, and then I might even think about getting dressed. So this is G3MKH, and then signing with G3RKQ, wishing you a very good morning, and all being well, talk again tomorrow.
Yeah, from G3RKQ. Yes, I think all television these days, including the news, seems to be all geared to entertainment now rather than education. I think news, to my mind, news is more on the educational side rather than entertainment side, but everything's now converted into something that's rather trivial these days, I'm afraid. Have you noticed how all the news is all bad news, though? We never get any good news, do we? Interesting you still have the old 6-foot snooker table there, Roger. Yes, I remember the hall there, so I can remember there would be room in there to a point, but somewhat restricted in certain positions for the old queue. My uncle down in Norwich, he was a vicar, and he had a big house, big vicarage there. He had a 6-foot snooker table in one of the bedrooms there, of which there were many bedrooms, and similar thing arose, but they had a special shortened queue for certain shots where the back swing was was restricted, so that's a point. Right, we'll let you get off and do your stuff then, Roger there. I was up at 6:30 this morning, raring to go, biting at the bit, and so hopefully we're going to get off with a bit before too long and get these jobs done. I said there's Nina's got 3 watch straps that she wants shortening, these fancy ones. I'm taking my 1932 Ben timer clock in to be seen through. It's not done for 2 years now, it's not worked for 2 years, and various other things, so we're going to make the effort to get out instead of sitting at home and groaning because we're still coughing a bit. So with that, we'll talk to you again, Roger, and we'll hopefully tomorrow. So G3NK, G3RKQ, now off and clear and QRT. Cheerio.
Yeah, fine, Alan. Yeah. The one thing I didn't comment on is the sad news that you're not renewing your passport. That's a rather end of an era, isn't it, really? But I can understand that there's little point, perhaps, in the circumstances. Unless, of course, our friend in Scotland has another referendum and wins the referendum. And then, of course, you might need a passport to go to Scotland. Banish the thought. G3RKQ, G3NKH now signing. Cheers, Alan.
No, there's a thought. Oh dear, our Scottish fisherwoman. Oh dear. That may be many years off, Roger, I think. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I think you're right. Cheers.
I'd just got one of those USB and, of course, the 7300, and then it's easy enough to choose which sound card you need. It makes it a bit easier, Keith, over.
I had sex on my chair last night. You know the softest chair I've got? It went down. Oh, what a shock.
How else you reckon it is at your age?
It's going down. So, I googled cure for swivel chair. Well, excuse me, go down on it. It says use a Jubilee clip at the bottom, so I did that. Oh, what a letdown. It's a lovely chair. I've spent many hours. I don't want to lose it. It's got tons of dangles at the back.
Well, of course, you've got your bum divot in there, haven't you? Made it all comfortable, so, yeah, I know what you mean. You see, I've got an armchair.
Where you took it? Where they've gone? You've moved them where you moved them to. They were there, weren't they? Have they gone? Yes, they've gone, is it? No, okay then. I've got QRM, definitely. I'm looking, yes, very nice.
Yeah, Keith, I'll be back in a minute.
Hello, hello. Sunderland calling man. Sunderland calling man. The sky is blue. The sky is blue.
Back in a minute.
Roger, roger.
It's about 7 months, I think, that the house has been up for sale, but something drastic will have to be done if this woman drops out. I'll have to do it myself. Start with, it would have been sold now and sorted all out, but we'll have to do something serious, because nobody can live in it, you see, that's the problem. Nobody can say, oh yeah, it's a lovely bungalow. It's in a nice place, but you couldn't move in and live in it. I couldn't anyway, and that's the problem. We'll have to do something, John. As you say, everything will work out. G0MTQ, nice to hear you as well, Stuart. M0BCV, G4MQV. Go ahead, John.
Yep, okay then, Bill. This is G0MTQ with M0BCV and G4MQV. Yeah, I'll make it the final, and I'm going to get away, I think. And I won't be staying in bed all day. I mean, I'm just going to get away for an hour or two. It's like the old cranknet, this, isn't it? I think anybody listening would get quite depressing, isn't it? But anyhow, not meant to be. Amateur radio is a wonderful hobby. It's great fun. Yeah, the other stuff will sort out, Bill. It just seems like it isn't going to at the moment, but it will. Good heavens, when you think about all the things that really are bad in the world, that will get sorted. You'll get there eventually. It's a problem, but it's a nice one to have, and you will eventually inherit the benefits of it. So it will get sorted. And the thing is, whatever you throw at it in the way of work, somebody else is going to buy it. They may want something entirely different. So you'd be wasting your money doing that as well, wouldn't you? So I think if you've got this seller still in line and still saying they're interested, well, I don't think you need to worry too much. It just takes time, and that's the thing. But don't hang around waiting for all that and get on and do other things. Yeah, because what time you've got to make the best of it, because it doesn't hold back, I'll tell you. You just have to look around you, Bill. So get on with it and enjoy what you can. That's the only thing you can do. You've got a couple of options, but I know which one I would be going for. But everybody has to do it their own way, don't they? Right. I don't think there's much else to report on this side. I was just saying to Bill earlier, Stuart, I managed to get in the file up with that Eritrean station yesterday, and eventually got in and worked it, and managed to work a VK4. VK4NH, that was the one. Managed to work that one yesterday as well on 17 metres, so the AMP's getting a bit of use. But yeah, very, very pleased with it, Bill. Absolutely delighted. But mind you, when you have a look for the price tag, yeah, you do want someone that's going to do the work, don't you? But mind you, it's still slightly below the price of the PW1, which was also incredibly expensive. When I think about it now, England's got a damn good deal. So if you listen to England, you did all right. Good job, I was generous, feeling generous at the time, and wanted to downsize, but physically for space and whatever. But the station's laid out much better, and I'm quite pleased with how it's performing. Looking forward now to getting some reasonable weather to get outside. I need to just get some of the aerial efficiency improved. It's doing all right, but there's still things I'd like to improve, especially for working DX on the lower band. Fairly happy with how it's working out on top band. That's tuning up nicely, and of course the N-Fed's tuning nicely on this band, but they're not great for DX, and I just need to have a look at that side, see what I can improve. The higher bands, of course, I'm fine with the log periodic, but I could just do with a bit improvement in performance on the lower end band. So when the better weather comes, we'll have a look and see what we can organise as far as that's concerned. Right, that's about it from me. A very good morning here. Hope Jen's all right as well, Bill. And all understood about the other, and it'll work its way through, but it's of course going to take a little bit of time, but just get on and do what you can, as much as you can anyhow. Okay, Stuart, glad to hear you're okay. Hope Francis is alright as well, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning if you're up to it, Stu, if you're a bubble. I think I'm past the contamination stage. Stopped all the coughing in that anyhow, that's something. M0BCV to take it. This is G0MCQ making the final, and just listening round, and then we'll call it a morning. And the big good morning to you, Bill, from G0MCQ.
Yes, okay, John. Well, I can always bring the deep contamination too, and that would solve a problem, wouldn't it? But no problem. I think if I was going to pick anything up off you, I would have already got it, and probably been in a similar state to what you were the other week. It was just sort of coming on then. I think the next couple of days after that, you were really down in the dumps. But you're sounding at 100. Well, I would say 100% better, but you're sounding a lot better than you were. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, so I'm looking at the time. It's coming up to 9:30. I'll have to crack on. And thanks for the chat this morning, lads. And we'll probably see you tomorrow, John. And we'll catch up with you soon, Bill. G4MQV to take it. This is Mike 0BCV signing, wishing both stations a very good morning. Over to you, Bill.
Yeah, from G4MQV. Okay, Stuart. Yeah, another good signal. And yeah, it's nice to know that we're looking forward to the spring, and everybody's getting going to make the aerials more efficient. I know I am. I'll try to. And I'll be interested to put this doublet up. I've got a couple of brand new 5RVs and this doublet that I've made, so we'll try the doublet first, and take this temporary one down. Temporary, been up for 5 years. So, and the loop will definitely be more efficient because I've taken a lot of RG58U coax cable out of it, and it's going to be replaced with the Westflex 103. So I've actually done that. I did it before the real bad weather came. It might be off tune a little bit. I might have to tune the loop again, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be more efficient. Not much more, but it's going to be more efficient when that gets up. And I hope the conditions are good and I can work the VKs and the ZLs. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to this summer. Right, we'll catch you later, lads. Thanks for coming on. Really enjoyed it. If I don't have a QSO here, I'll never use the gear. And that's another thing I'm going to do. Start getting on and calling CQ. Catch you later, lads. G0MTQM0BCV G4MQV clear. Catch you later, lads. Thanks.
Yep, good morning, both. Thanks for the chat. Good to catch up. And yeah, get on and use that gear, Bill. That's what it's about. Make it work. All the best from G0MTQ. Catch up with you tomorrow, Stu, and probably catch you on air tomorrow, Bill. G0MTQ off and clear.
But anyway, she had it from Christmas time. That's apparently very infectious, contagious. Not when you can see it, only before that. And then Emily went down just, I think it was Friday. So I hope she's okay. We've been sending messages back and forward. So that's that. And a couple of things that I got from lots of talk about this morning. List wages, or list, how do you pronounce it? Figures and all that sort of thing. And the Ford Foundry closed between 2007, when it was announced, the closure, and 2010. I'm not sure when it closed, the Ford Foundry Leamington, so that's gone. And it's now a Morrison supermarket. So I did my research on that. And I've been playing with the oscilloscope and the audio generator, and also the audio generator that's out of the transceiver. And I haven't figured it out yet, but if I feed the same signal into both channels and put it on XY, why do I get a straight line, Frank, and not a nice circle? I have to use two separate signal generators to get a circle. A G0 GSR MW0 GYV.
Yeah, KPG0 GSR. Well, I'm glad that Edwin has improved anyway. It must have been some kind of virus. Trouble is, there's so many flipping varieties of viruses on them. That it could be one of them. But the Lysidius figures, and why you only get a straight line if you see the same sine wave into both lots of plates, is that the two lots of plates are at 90 degrees. There's horizontal and vertical plates. So you've got to, and they're 90 degrees obviously, so you've got to see the signal into both inputs, which is 90 degrees phase different, to get a circle. If you feed an in-phase signal, you just get a straight line. So that's why it is. And if you look at this Jerobeam's, whatever it is, Fenderson website, he does actually explain that. In one of his tutorials, he mentions the sine and cosine signals required to produce a circle. So there you are on that one. Yeah, this business about microwave food, I actually thought it was quite funny, but obviously some people believe it only, and a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. But if you think about it, if you had a 2.6 gigahertz receiver, and you could listen to what your microwave oven was putting out, when you switched off the power, would you still be able to hear anything? And I think the answer to that must be no, which means obviously the food isn't radiating any energy afterwards. If that were the case, after you've stopped transmitting, the whole fabric of your house and things would continue radiating a signal. So my voice would continue for some time after I stopped talking, if that was the case. So it is a little bit ridiculous. Somebody's put a nice carrier on me now. And those bonds vibrating, Peter, they are vibrating because they are hot, and then they always vibrate at all times. It's just the amount by which they vibrate is proportional to temperature, that's all. They're not vibrating at a particular frequency. They're all vibrating at random frequencies. That's my opinion anyway. Over to Dave, M0SPZ with MW0GYV from G0GSR.
Yeah, Roger. G0GSR, MW0GYV, M0SPZ returning. Well, there's a classic case of people talking authoritatively And I believed you, Peter, when you said that the molecules carry on vibrating. I believed you. You said it in such an authoritative way. I thought, well, he must know what and it's just your interpretation of what's going on. The way I heard it was that the food itself carries on heating up, not because the molecules are still vibrating, excited by the radiation that's been switched off. The food is getting hot because it just hasn't transferred through the heat hasn't continued to sort of dissipate through all the food. But so it just shows you how easy it is to get something not wrong, but put a slightly different interpretation on it, and then somebody else would have picked that up, and all of a sudden we've got another conspiracy theory running. It really is quite fascinating how all these conspiracy theories get going, and even when somebody is like man hasn't been to the moon, etc., and even when somebody has sort of said, explained it to the point and giving them proof that there is stuff on the moon that man has put there, they still won't believe it. Very, very strange. Like the pop-off thing, with the faith healer. Even though he was proved to be a charlatan, he's still making many millions of pounds out of people that believe him. So humans are very, very strange, and it's one of my big things is being the eternal skeptic. I think skepticism is a good way to be. As regards to, yes, I'm happy that Edwina's feeling a little bit better, Peter. I had the flu jab, but I was reading in the newspapers that the flu, there's about 4 different varieties of flu going around, evidently. And the Australian flu that our good friend, good morning, or good evening, Daz, that Daz has sent over to us is... the flu the jab isn't particularly effective against it unless you had the quadrivalent vaccine. I think there's a trivalent vaccine and a quadro vaccine, and even the quadro one isn't particularly good at improving or protecting old folk like me. But I'm still glad I had the jab. And I've got a feeling that I had a different jab this year. I think I had the quadro one because she did say, "Oh, this is a new type of vaccine" when she gave it me, but she didn't mention quadro vaccine. Never heard of slap cheek either, Peter. So maybe that's something that your relative made up. Don't know. So back to you, Peter. MW0GYB in the group M0SPZ.
No, of course we googled it straight away, and it's on the internet as slap cheek, but I'd never heard of it before. I think it's just a viral infection, and often if you've got a cold or flu or something, you've either got pale cheeks or you've got big red dolly cheeks. But apparently just one of the cheeks, they sent us an email with a picture, and just one of the cheeks was bright red. So I think it's one of these new terminologies rather than a new disease. I'm pretty sure we went through that when we were younger. And I'm happy that Edwin as well. She's been poorly since Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday she wasn't well. So the whole week really. Anyway, yesterday was so horrible we didn't want to go out. There was a driver trapped in his car not far away down near Barry. Llancarvan. I can't say it. Llancarvan. Bloody Welsh language. He was trapped in his car against a bridge. There's only a little stream runs through the village, and it's a river really, but it's not very big. And he got trapped against the bridge, but he managed to escape okay. I think 2 or 3 people had to be rescued around Wales. It was jolly wet. Anyway, so which way do they vibrate normally, Frank? Do they vibrate in and out, as it were, or do the angles change between the bonds? I don't really know offhand. All I know is that they continue to vibrate after you take them out of the microwave. They can't just stop. there's always a decay time. So presumably that decay time is sufficiently long that it could damage you. And as Dave says, the food does continue to. It can get hotter actually when you take out the microwave than when it was in there. We just leave it long enough. I mean, by the time I've walked across in the microwave and put my plate down, got the yogurt out, put the banana on it, chopped it up, this morning put the grapes on it, and then put the 2 blobs of Greek yogurt on top and my spoon of honey. Perhaps 30 seconds a minute's gone by. So I don't like to burn my teeth on or my gums on the. You can't burn teeth, can you? On my porridge. It's not nice. So there we go. Yeah, thanks about the phase thing. I kind of figured that out, and I was trying to work it out in my head how to get a circle, and that's why I eventually used the Electrop's got a little built-in oscillator. You can change the frequency for the oscillator. It's for the Morse code, so I can change it between 300 and about kilohertz, I think. So I managed to turn that. So I use it about 600 hertz thereabouts. And then I was able to calibrate my Gold Star function generator, FG8002. So I used that to generate the other one and the other input. And I have, it reminded me now that if you put the same frequencies in, out of phase, as you say, you get a circle. If you feed one double the frequency, you get two peaks, top and bottom, or 2 circles really. They slightly cross. And quadruple, you get 4 and all that sort of thing. So I managed to do all of that, and it was great fun. It was quite interesting. And of course, you can calibrate if you've got a known frequency, you can calibrate an unknown. You can use this way, just figure as a way of calibrating. It was great fun. So a happy couple of hours doing that while Edwin was watching the midwife. Watched the midwife program anyway. And then I went down a bit later on and we watched something which was very far-fetched indeed. I wonder if anybody watched Vera last night. We like it because it's Geordieland and we like to try to identify the various places to which they give fictitious names. So there we go. So I'll start that and that. And, background radiation. You can measure, You can measure the radiation left behind by the Big Bang. So, I just thought it had all gone away. It's travelling away from I don't know where we are in relation to where the Big Bang was, but I can't quite get my head around the fact that you can measure the background radiation of the universe and it's what's left over from the Big Bang, because surely it would have disappeared at the rate of 186,000 miles a second. M0 SBZ G0 GSR MW0 GYV.
Now you're making my brain hurt, Peter. G0GSR, the cosmic microwave background, yeah. It's a difficult concept to understand, isn't it? Just where the Big Bang happened. I don't think there is a single place you can say it happened here, although, the theory is that everything originated from a single point. So the question has to be asked, where is that point? And it's just beyond me, I'm afraid, to comprehend stuff like that. But let's use figures. Yeah, they're really interesting things, and they do have a practical usage as well. If you need to adjust one frequency with respect to another one, say you've got a frequency counter with its own internal standard and a GPS-derived oscillator which is more accurate, you feed the two of them into the X and Y inputs, and you adjust them until you get a stationary picture. And if the picture isn't rotating, then or it's rotating very, very slowly, that's the frequency error between them. So it's much easier to adjust on an oscilloscope screen than trying to look at the nth digit on a digital display. But regarding food in the microwave, well, the molecules vibrate all the time, Peter, don't they? If anything above absolute zero, the molecules will be vibrating. And it's the vibration, the amount of vibration, which gives them the property of temperature. So that the fact that they vibrate more and then reduce a little bit just doesn't mean anything apart from the temperature is reducing. And I suppose the reason why you leave microwave food a few minutes after you take it out is because it can have hot spots internally. The things that substances absorb different amounts of energy at different rates, so you just leave it a few minutes afterwards just for the temperature to equalise in the oven. The amount of heat can't increase. The amount of heat is fixed, isn't it, depending on the energy you give it. But the thing can just equalise it for a few minutes afterwards. I think that's what it's all about. But I think that's how you the Ford Foundry. Yeah, well, it was 2008, Peter, when I was up there last. So obviously, if I went up there again, I would have quite a shock. And there's a lot of changes happening. It's a long time ago, isn't it? Now it's quite frightening when you think about it. I've been retired since 2008. Amazing, isn't it? Mr. SPZ with W0GYV from G0GSR.
Yeah, Roger. What is that noise? That noise that just went across the band, Frank, that was, I think it's the Iono sonde, but just a few of previous transitions was followed by another one that looked a little bit different. I wonder what they are. Yes, as regards to microwave hotspots, I used to do I might have told you this before, I used to do a demo in the physics classes where we measured, or we worked out what the speed of light was by measuring that we had a microwave with some, now what was it? I think it was custard or some semi-solid, might have been jelly, and by measuring putting it in the microwave on a stationary platform, no turntable, and it would melt where the standing waves were at their maximum. It would melt some hot spots in the food, and the jelly or the custard would retain them, and you could measure the distance between them. These hot spots, and then divide it by the frequency. Was it divide or multiply by the frequency of the microwave, and it comes out at the speed of light. So it's quite an interesting little demo with a microwave. We also used to put light bulbs in and watch steel whirl and all sorts of things, which the kids thought was much more fascinating, watching them all explode. But you can work out what the speed of light is. You need to know the frequency of the microwave, and most of them had it written on the back somewhere. Right, so backbound radio, well, I don't know about that. It was industrial. The actual centre of the Big Bang was exactly where I am at the moment, and it was exactly where you are, and exactly where you are, Frank. So that's where it was. It like you, it makes your brain hurt, doesn't it, when you start thinking about all this stuff. As regards to the listen-to figures, yeah, you really ought to watch those in tutorials, Peter. That guy, Jerobeam Henderson, there are 4 tutorials, and he starts really quite from basic first principles and then works his way through, tells you all about scopes and phase changes between the 2 signals, etc., etc. So, and he does it in a very nice way, and so that it's, as well as looking at the actual Lissajou figures that he produces, look at the 4 tutorials, Peter. It will be very, very rewarding for you to do that. MW0GYV in the group, M0SBZ.
Yeah, I may well do. I may well look at that. That sounds quite useful thing to do. Yes, C is quite important, isn't it? The speed of light, quite important to us in our hobby. But I just used it actually to calculate. I've assumed that the solar system started with the Big Bang, and was it 4,300 billion years ago? So I just calculated how far away the Big Bang was. Or we assumed we just moved away from the Big Bang at the speed, whatever it was that we were travelling at. Speed of light? Must be. So it's 1.0846 times 10 to the 29 miles, whatever that is in real numbers, 1 times 10 to the 29 miles. Hell of a long way. But that's, of course, assuming that there's only one Big Bang. But it is mind-boggling, all this stuff, when you start thinking about it, and you realise that the universe contains 99%, well, of matter. 99% of the matter is hydrogen, and then the rest is very small amounts, or thereabouts. But yeah, fascinating stuff. And we all came from the stars, carbon, oxygen, and all the other bits and pieces that make us up. I think we're mainly oxygen, aren't we? Oxygen, and some carbon, and hydrogen, and some other little bits and pieces. Iron, I think, is quite important. We've got a lot of iron in us. But, yeah, and of course that's assuming that there was no billiard ball effect, because I guess if you were travelling a straight line and you happened, well, I suppose you wouldn't hit anything, really, if you think about it, because if all the particles started from the centre and all moved out at the same speed, they'd all move apart. So they shouldn't be hitting each other, should they? But perhaps there was another Big Bang somewhere else, and so they were moving towards us, also at the speed of light, and there was some ping-pong effect, some billiard ball banging against each other. But yeah, I can't get my head around why you should be able to hear the background microwave radiation, because surely that would have been gone by now, you know. But there we go. And yeah, it's very, very profound. But I shall have to look up these Lithwages figure things again with Mr. Fenderson. I did find his website, but didn't have time to really have a good look yesterday. G0GSRMW0GYB.
Okay, Peter, G0GSR. Yes, I recommend the Fenderson's tutorials. They're extremely good, as Dave has mentioned. And he doesn't talk down to you, and they are very, very well done as well. He's got some lovely graphics showing the sine and cosine signals, creating the circle, etc. So it's well worth a look. But going back to space and time and the Big Bang and things, I think one of the theories is that before the Big Bang, the whole of space and time didn't exist. Or if it did exist, the whole of space was in one small point, infinitely small point. And the Big Bang occurred, and everything expanded from there. So the whole of space and time occurred at that point. And that's how you can get everything travelling away from each other at the same rate. In fact, it's increasing, isn't it, the rate that we're all flying apart, which is a weird concept to exist, but I think the idea of space and time maybe not existing at all is even weirder to try and understand, isn't it? And thinking of weirdest things that are happening on the band, yes, I've seen the other stuff, Dave, on the band this morning. Apart from the normal Iona sound, there's this wide band signal, isn't there, that appears for just a fraction of a second, and we've had a few of those already. Over to you, Dave. M0SPZ with the group from G0GSR.
Yes, G0GSR in the group, M0SPZ. Well, I haven't seen them just lately, Frank. When we first started, I wondered whether they were associated, because I saw the Iono sound signal, and then the wideband one sort of followed immediately afterwards, and I think I've seen that happen twice. So I sort of assumed that they were together, you know, that they were associated in some way. But then when I had the last over, I just saw the Isono sound one and didn't see the other one. So might be, well, another mystery, as well as the Big Bang. It's yet another mystery for us to solve. I must admit, it's I mean, even the cleverest people really don't quite understand it, do they? And so I don't think we stand a chance. Certainly, I don't stand a chance of pretending that I understand it. I still struggle with the distances. And you say to yourself, well, you see that star? It's that we're looking at that as it was. Now, what is the age of the universe is 14 billion. Well, just a bit less, 13 point something billion light years. So you're looking at stars. Well, that's as it was X number of billions of years ago. And then I say to myself, yeah, but it wasn't there then. It was a lot closer. So I get all a bit my brain does a bit of a warp and gets a bit confused when I think of distances and the speed of light and so on, and the age of the universe. It all blends into a big muddle for me. Joni Mitchell, who I was in love with for many, many years, had her Woodstock song, and in it, in the refrain, it says, "We are stardust." So how did she know that? She wasn't a physicist, and maybe she got it from somewhere else. There's a refrain in the song Woodstock: "We are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden," or something like that. MW0GYB in the group, M0SPZ.
I think by the time she sang the song, it was known that we came from the stars, because nuclear was understood by then. But what I don't understand is that the speed of light is constant, and you can't go faster than the speed of light. I don't know what speed we're moving apart from the Big Bang. That's all relative, isn't it? You keep saying relative, I wonder why. But presumably it's less than the speed of light, but radio waves and light waves, they travel away from us at the speed of light, so I can't get my head right. I haven't quite understood that. I can't understand it well enough to understand it, if you know what I mean. So there we go. Anyway, did you watch the Brian Cox program? I was disappointed with the first one. I thought it was there's too much television and not enough explanation, too many visual things. So I was quite disappointed with that program. I will record the next one. But when the book comes, Frank, I think you'll understand why. I'm enjoying reading the book carefully and slowly. So there we go. So. And I think I said 4.3 was my number, but that's the age of the Earth. So I had to multiply my thing by 3.5 or something. My number. The numbers are bloody big anyway. That's terrifying, really. And I think a lot of stuff is really dumbed down. So I don't have a lot to say. So I guess when you went past the Ford Fair, I know it was announced. I found one of the local papers and online, and it said that that was 2007, and it was announced in the paper that the foundry was going to close. And then there's these people who go into disused buildings and take photographs and post them online. Urban something or other, as they call themselves. And they went in 2010 and 2011 into the plant before it was flattened, and took various pictures, including some of the control panels. And that was, I say, 2010. But it's now Morrison's, I believe. And it was exactly where I remembered it was. I'm sure you know where it was. So I know that quite well, because we used to use that as one of the ways to get to the motorway, to the M1, before the M42 was really built. So, G0GSR, MW0GYV.
Yeah, G0GSR. Well, I'll just comment on those urban folk first of all, because they are absolute nutters, those guys, some of them. I've seen the videos on YouTube, and they're climbing up transmitter masts that are powered, totally unauthorized, and they're doing it with great danger to themselves. They're climbing up between very high RF fields and things, and they've got absolutely no concept of danger. But what can you do if they do it unauthorized? There's nothing much you can do, is there? But yeah, the Brian Cox thing was very, very disappointing. I was only saying today, was it yesterday, that it took an hour for him to describe why a snowflake is a particular shape, with an awful lot of divergence in between to lots of nice countries around the world. I bet he had a really great time making it, but it didn't really tell us very much. But yes, I'm still waiting for the book to arrive. It's going to be here next week, hopefully, so I shall read that. Joni Mitchell song, yeah, I suppose really that time they were all influenced by LSD, weren't they, Dave? So anything could have been possible. M0SP said with MW0GYV from G0GSR.
Yeah, Roger, G0GSR, MW0GYV, M0SPZ returning. I think I'm going to make this my final chat. Yeah, Joni Mitchell, she was beautiful. and I used to practice a lot of her songs when I used to play in the folk club. We used to call it a folk club. It wasn't really 100% folk music. In fact, Woodstock was written by Crosby, Stills and Nash, and I think Joni Mitchell was having an affair with one of them or all of them. I can't. and she took the song and made it into a big hit. But Brian Cox and his. Do you know? I often think that about these programs. You think, well, I'd like a program. I'd make a program like that where I travel all around the world and just really describe what I'm seeing. You get quite a lot of presenters doing that these days, don't you? Not just Brian Cox and Jim Alcoholic and so on, but all of the ex-Blue Peter people seem to be travelling around the world, having a wonderful time, and just to make a program. And a lot of times you think to yourself, yeah, but you have no need to go and see that, Mr. Cox. You could have saved the licence payers a lot of money by just showing some archive film about it and describing it from the studio. So I think a lot of it, you see a great many of it, don't you? That Ben Fogle seems to be travelling all around the world doing shows these days. Right, okay, well, thanks for joining me. Thanks for anybody listening on the web. Daz, nice to see you there. I didn't mean that you sent us the flu, Daz, but they call it Aussie flu, I think. And cheerio to both of you, and round to you, Peter. MW0GYV with G0GSR, M0SBZ signing. Cheers, bye-bye.
Yeah, Jim Alkali was on Sky at Night last week, and Monty Don's doing a programme about some foreign gardens, India and I think places like that. And these urban people, they actually, the first time I heard about them was my boss sent me an email with a little link, and they'd gone into our old labs in Nottingham, in Milford? I can't remember the name of the road now, but in the centre of town anyway. And they crawled all over that. That was interesting. And some of these programs are disappointing. But I wonder if you watched the program about cats yesterday, Frank. We saw the tail end of. I saw the tail end of the cat. I saw the tail end of that program. Was it wonderful? The photography, the videos, and the palace cat out in Mongolia. I wonder if you saw that.
I did, Peter. Yes, it was very good. Yeah, I've got it on series record. I do like watching stuff like that, and incredible diligence these people have, isn't it, to get these perseverance, to get these amazing shots. And one thing that strikes me is that somebody being interested in photography, the quality of the lenses that these people use on these cameras must be astronomical, because they're photographing these intimate events from absolutely miles away, and yet the quality of the images is absolutely superb, Peter. Over.
Yeah, it was. I forgot to say 73 today, but it was superb, and the diligence. And what happened to their tent? I think they found part of one of. I think was it the cover from their toilet tent, but that huge, great, was it a yurt or something? It just disappeared, and all the furniture was scattered about, and the toilet seat was broken up. But marvellous photography, absolutely wonderful. And I regret not seeing the whole of that program now, so maybe I'll watch it and catch up.
Well, Chelsea Dave is still around, by the way, and will be around tomorrow. But it was incredible, wasn't it? They showed the toilet tent had gone, and the yurt had been flying, etc. But amazing. Lovely little cats, though, weren't they?
Brilliant. They weigh about 3.5 kilos. How's that compared to a tabby cat?
I suppose it's just like a domestic cat, really. How much does ours weigh? I think ours is about 2-point-something kilos.
I looked them up again on the internet, and it's one of the questions: can a palace cat be domesticated? And they weren't saying no, but saying it was unfair to keep them as pets, and you'd probably regret it anyway.
Well, you know what they say about any kind of cat. That there is a very short period after they're born which they have to be handled by humans or get used to being handled by humans. And if they're not, then they will grow up as completely feral, Peter, over.
Oh, I could believe that. Yeah. I mean, I've often wondered what's the difference between a wild cat, we get them in Scotland and the north of England, and a feral cat. I believe there is a difference, but I've been chased by a cat.
Well, the strangest thing I saw was where I used to live as a kid. We lived in back-to-back terraced houses, and the people at the opposite us at the back had this very, very violent dog. It was what the hell was it? It was a vicious thing anyway, and they always used to keep it tied up in the backyard, and it would bark at anything. Bull terrier or something like that, the ones that they used to fight. And this cat from up the street didn't like dogs, and it took an exception to this dog, and it went and stalked it, and it attacked it. I was watching it. It got on a wall, and the dog was going absolutely bananas, and the cat launched itself onto the top of the dog, and the dog ended off by having a bloody muzzle. The cat did some damage. M20G0GSR.
I think most cats will do for a dog, won't they? I know they avoid each other like the plague, but even Alex's, Miss Joe's really, they've got a couple of years old now, I suppose, be 2 years old this year, Pippin, and it's so quick. I mean, it's lovely with us. It's known as since it's been a very small thing. It's great with us, but I've seen it having a go with the neighbours, Ginger Tom, having they attack each other, and by God, it's quick.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's somebody whistling there. I don't know whether anybody else wants to join us. But ours is getting a bit old now, but he's had his day. He's 18 now, so he's not doing the things he used to, but he was quite good in his day. They used to go hunting, and they used to bring back all sorts. We've had live rabbits and live squirrels running around the house, because they don't kill most of the time. They just bring them in live. And if I'm not here, the wife was quite disconcerted.
Yeah, do they bring them home to show you, or do they bring them home to play with them?
They bring them home because it's bred into them. They can't help it. I think it's an instinct, isn't it, to catch prey and bring it home for the litter. And if there isn't a litter, well, they still do it and they can't help it.
Yeah, bring it home for the family. I'm sure you're right. Yeah, we had a cat, and Timothy we called it, and it was a funny thing that was. It used to sit on my lap for hours, and I can remember once it was begging for sardines. We had sardines on toast one night. It was begging for sardines. It was meowing away. So we also had salad with it. So I was dipping a spring onion in the flipping sardine, and I can remember the cat eating the flipping spring onion, which he didn't like, but just to get at the sardine. Really weird.
And they say that cats don't have an expression. They can't have an expression. I bet if they licked the end of the onion, it would pull a funny face, Peter.
It certainly did.
I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to go for a coffee now, Peter, if you don't mind, and going to make Angela and I a cappuccino, and maybe even a piece of toast. So hopefully see you tomorrow if you're around, Peter.
Yeah, okay. We had a nice lie-in this morning, so hopefully we're going to get some jobs done around the house. I'm already thinking about spring cleaning and decorating. Cheers, Frank.
Well, I'm not so far, but got it all to come. Keep putting it off. Okay, cheers for now, Peter, from G0GSR.
It's too cold and damp. We need the good weather before we start doing that, so we can have some windows open.
Yeah, about middle of June, Peter.
73.
Yeah, I heard you. Cheers to everybody else well from G0GSR.